Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to begin Unit 7. As always, make sure you have your textbook, a pen or pencil, and some paper so you're ready for today's lesson. Let's begin. Let's start today's lesson by thinking about technology. The first thing I want you to do today is look around you. What technological devices do you see? So go ahead and look around. Maybe you are at home or at a cafe or even on the bus. What technology do you see around you? I bet one of the first things you see is your smartphone, right? This is an example of a technology most of us use every day. If you're home, maybe you see your TV, your gas range, a pair of headphones, or even the clock on your wall. Technology is all around us, and we use it every day. What technology could you not live without? Think about the technologies that you have used just today. Which one would be difficult to live without? Maybe it's your smartphone, or if you're like me, maybe it's the internet, and you can't imagine living without the internet. There are so many technologies we use today, and there are also so many interesting technologies there could be in the future. So, what future technology are you excited for? Technology changes so fast, right? We could not have imagined technology today even just 20 or 30 years ago. So what future technologies are you excited for? Here we see the picture that is on the title page of Unit 7. What do we see in this picture? We see a woman who looks like she's in a car, right? We see a Wi-Fi signal, we see the GPS or navigation, and we see a display on her windshield showing how fast she's going and showing the directions. And it also looks like there are cars speeding by. But what do you notice most about this picture? Where are her hands? Is she looking at the road? This is an example of a future technology that we could very well see pretty soon. This looks like a self-driving car, right? Would you ever want to be in a self-driving car? Maybe you could take a nap while it takes you to school. This unit is called Get Connected, and in this unit we're going to learn all about technology and language we can use to talk about technology. In today's lesson, let's introduce the unit and learn two sets of helpful vocabulary to discuss technology. First, we are going to watch a video. While you watch, think about your answers to these questions. You will hear some in the video, and the third question is an opinion question. So let's see what our questions are. Question 1. What was the first device used to count and keep track of things? You will hear this one in the video. Question number 2. What year did the first personal computer or PC arrive? When were home computers first introduced? You will hear this in the video as well. And the last question is an opinion question. What new technologies do you think there will be in the future? Let's go ahead and watch this video. See you after when we will check our answers.
Changing technology. What do this and this have in common? Well, they are both small and they are very useful. If you think these are just normal old stones, think again. They are ancient tools, the first technology people ever made. These tools helped humans survive. Over the next 3 million years, people learned how to make many more new and wonderful things. Most of these things made life easier and more comfortable. Can you imagine life without these things, or without tablet computers? But how did we get from this to this? Well, let's go back 2,000 years to the very first tablets, the abacus. People used this machine to count and keep track of money and other things for a very long time. Then, between 1642 and 1644, Blaise Pascal made the Pascaline, a calculator or adding machine that ran with gears and wheels. In 1837, Charles Babbage planned a programmable computer, the analytical engine. Here you can see a model of the machine in a museum. It took more than 100 years until the world saw the beginning of the modern computer age and the first programmable electronic computers, like the ENIAC from 1945. These early computers were very big and heavy. You had to wait for days, not seconds, to complete a task. Nobody had a computer at home. The first personal home computers arrived in 1976 with this machine. And they kept on coming. Finally, people could buy and use a computer in their own house. Your parents probably played video games on computers like these. Computers got smaller and faster and light enough to carry around. In the 1990s, the Internet and computer networking made computers really powerful. The rest is history. What new technologies do you think there will be in the future?
Now that you have watched that video introducing a little bit about the history of technology, let's check our answers. Number 1. What was the first device used to count and keep track of things like money? We saw in the video that that was the abacus. Maybe you have seen or used one of these before. Question 2. What year did the first personal computer or PC arrive? When could we finally have our own computer at home? This was very recent, in 1976, not that long ago. And finally, what new technologies do you think there will be in the future? This is your opinion, so there's no wrong answer here. Maybe, like we saw on the title page of this unit, there will be self-driving cars. Maybe we'll see better virtual reality in things like video games. And maybe one day we'll see affordable space travel, where we can travel to distant places and it won't cost a ton of money like it does now. Who knows what the future of technology holds? Today we are going to start with our vocabulary for this unit. Our 2 vocabulary sets today are about communication and technology, and about getting around. So let's get started on vocabulary set number 1. First, let's learn some vocabulary about communication and technology. Some of these are in your book, and others are important and common words and phrases we hear when talking about technology today in the modern world. So let's look at what our words are first. Browse, device, emoji, go viral, innovation, notification, tech savvy, and user friendly. Do you recognize any of these terms, or can you guess what they mean? Next, let's go ahead and look at some pictures. See if you can guess which one of these terms the pictures relate to. Okay, number 1. So here, this word has to do with what we can see this person doing on their computer. They're looking around, maybe going from website to website. And we might use things like Internet Explorer and Google Chrome to do what she is doing. Our first word today is browse. Browse is a verb that means to look around. Sometimes we use the word browse to describe what we do when we go shopping. Maybe if I want to look around at a store, I could say, I'm just browsing. More often, we hear the word browse when talking about what we do on the internet. So we usually hear the phrase, browse the internet. When you go website to website, page to page, or you're just looking through, scrolling through, maybe scrolling through Instagram, we use the word browse. We can also use a noun form of browse to talk about things like Internet Explorer and Google Chrome. These are called browsers, web browsers. So remember, the word browse is a verb. For example, I'm just browsing the internet. Browser, with an R at the end, is the noun form. For example, which browser do you use? Internet Explorer or Google Chrome? Let's go to our next word. All right, number 2. So here we see tablets, laptops, cell phones. These are all things that we might have, right? Big ones, small ones, all these things with screens. What is a word we could use to talk about these electronics? Here we would use the word device. And more often we hear electronic device. For example, if you go into a classroom or if you go onto a plane, you might hear, please put your devices away. This means put your laptop and your phone and your tablet, or maybe your smartwatch, away. So again, device. Let's go to our third word today. All right. Here we see lots of faces. These are things we use when we're text messaging. These are things we use to react online, maybe leaving a comment. Sometimes we can just leave one of these. Which one is your favorite? And which one do you use most often? I think this one is my favorite. It's my favorite way to react when I feel excited about something. So what do we call these? These are called emojis. Emojis are a real substantial part of the internet today and a part of our messaging and communication, right? How often do you use emojis? Let's look at our next phrase. All right, what do we see in this picture? It begins with one person and goes to many. When talking about technology, this is a phrase we use to describe when something like a video is seen by many people very quickly. For example, often when BTS posts a new music video, it does this. So what is the term? Go viral. If something goes viral, it means a lot of people see it very quickly. You go from 0 views to 1 million to 10 million to maybe even 1 billion views. Have you ever had a video go viral? I'm sure you have watched viral videos before. This phrase comes from the word viral, which has to do with a virus, right? Something that spreads very quickly. So we use go viral to talk about videos and other things that spread very fast. Our next term today is a noun. So here in this GIF, we see air conditioning control, curtain control, camera control. This is a fairly new app that we can use to control the items in our home from our phone, no matter how far away we are. So this noun is used to talk about new ideas. The word we would use to talk about new things in technology is innovation. If there is an innovation, it is an exciting, new, big idea that changes things. Social media was a big innovation. Computers and smartphones, of course, were a big innovation. And now we see new innovation all the time in technology. This is a very important word that we hear often when talking about technology. Innovation. Let's take a look at what's next. Yes, maybe you have had this happen before. You open your phone in the morning and there are so many messages on your front screen. Or you might see these numbers when you open your phone's menu, showing that you have some new thing to look at in those apps. These are called notifications. Do you get a lot of notifications? Maybe if you have a video go viral, you will wake up to a lot of notifications. Our next term today is something we would use to describe someone who is really good at using different technologies. If you are the kind of person that can use a new technology, whether it's a new app or a new device, and you can figure it out or learn how to use it really fast, this is a word we would use to describe you. Maybe your parents and grandparents cannot be described with this term if they have a hard time using technology. But if technology is easy for you to use and it's something you can understand very fast, we would call you tech savvy. Savvy means you're good at something. So here we just use the word tech, short for technology, and savvy. Tech savvy. Again, this means you're really good at using technology. If there's a problem and someone calls you up, oh, please help me, you are so tech savvy. Let's take a look at our last term in our first vocabulary set today. This is a term we would use if an app or a website is really easy to use. If you have never used this app or website before, but you can open it and look at it and, oh, I understand, so fast, so easy to use. Anything that is easy to use, we would call user-friendly. Many apps like Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat are really user-friendly. Even young children can understand how to use them very fast. They were designed to be easy for users to use. So we would call them user-friendly. So let's review our first 8 words today. Browse, device, emoji, go viral, innovation, notification, tech savvy, user friendly. All right, let's get some practice filling in the blanks with these words. So here we see the new app is not very it's really confusing. If an app or a website is really confusing, maybe there are buttons everywhere, it's so strange, we could say it is not very user-friendly. If something is confusing and hard to understand for you, the user, you could say it is not very user-friendly. Let's look at our next fill in the blank. Okay, number 2. I'm excited for the next technological. There are so many interesting ideas out there. So try to remember, which word would we use to talk about a new idea? Some new invention or new thing that comes along. We would use innovation. I'm excited for the next innovation in technology or technological innovation. Let's look at our last fill in the blank. Here we're going to use 2 of our terms. My YouTube video, so I have a lot of. The first term we're going to use is, what do we call it when a YouTube video goes from 0 views to many, many, many in a short time? There we would use go viral, right? But here we want to use the past tense. My YouTube video went viral. So I have a lot of. And what do we call those messages that pop up on our phone when we have some new activity on an app? There we would use notification. My YouTube video went viral, so I have a lot of notifications. All right, we're going to move on to our next vocabulary set. So let's look at what we see in this picture. We see a bus, a car, a taxi, a bicycle that you can rent out. We'd call that a bike share. How do you like to travel? What transportation do you prefer to use? Maybe you prefer a train or a taxi or an airplane. Let's learn some vocabulary about getting around. We're going to look at the prepositions we use to talk about how we use different kinds of transportation. So here are our terms we're going to learn in our second vocabulary set. Catch, get, or take. Get into. Get off. Get on. Get out of. Go by. And go on. These all look very similar, right? We're using mostly get and go, but with different prepositions. Into, off, on, of, by, right? So let's go ahead and learn exactly which of these to use when we're talking about using different forms of transportation. Let's complete this activity together on page 86. So here we see our second set of vocabulary in the box at the top of this slide and on page 86. Let's go ahead and fill in the blanks with the correct term for each of these kinds of transportation. A train, a tram, a plane, a car, a taxi, and a bus. Number 1 is done for us. We can see that if we walk somewhere, we can also say go on foot. Let's look at number 2. What's happening in this picture? Here we would say get on a train. We can use the term get on and get off to talk about what we do in many forms of public transit. Get on a train, get off a train. Get on the subway, get off the subway. Let's look at number 3. Here we have a tram, which is like an above ground subway, kind of. So for a tram, we would say go by. Go by tram. Oh, I'm going by tram to the park. Number 4 is a plane. So a plane we can use many different terms for. We can use catch, get, or take. I can catch a plane, get a plane, or take a plane. All of these verbs are correct when talking about traveling on a plane. Okay, what do we see in number 5? What is that man doing? In that picture, he is getting out of a car. And how about number 6? A taxi is also a car, so we could say he's getting into. We can use get into or get out of for cars and taxis. Getting into a taxi, getting out of a car. As you see in number 6, we can also use the verb take. I'm going to take a taxi to work today. Finally, let's look at number 7. Here we see 2 kids leaving a bus. So just like we would say with a train or a subway, we can say get off. Get on the bus, get off the bus. Get on a train, get off the train. So how can we remember this? Well, this helpful box on page 86 will help you to remember when to use each of these phrases. We use take, get, and catch with planes and other public transportation. We use get on and get off public transit or a bike. Get on a train, get off the bus, get on the subway, and so on. But if we're talking about a car or a taxi, we use get into and get out of. We can use go by with all public transportation except on foot or on the underground, which is another term for subway that we see in British English. So they would say go on the underground. Or anywhere we could say go on foot. But other than those 2 things, we can use go by. Go by train, by taxi, by bus, and so on. Okay, let's get some practice using these terms. Let's fill in the blank with the correct preposition. Number 1, we went foot into town. Do you remember? Here we would say we went on foot. What about train? Would we say on, by? Here we could say by. Remember, we can use by for almost all forms of public transit. By train, by bus. Number 3, they went from the station to their hotel, the underground. Remember, the underground is the subway, so here we'd say on the underground, on the subway. I went there on the subway. Number 4, he got his car at the airport. So we could say in his car or out of his car, right? So if you guessed in, that would be okay here too. And finally, she got the bus at the stop near school. Here we'd say got off. You get off and get on the bus. Now that we've gotten some practice with vocabulary set 2, let's review our terms. Catch, get, and take. Get into, get off, get on, get out of, go by, and go on. Okay, everyone, that's it for the first video in Unit 7. Please make sure to practice this vocabulary we've talked about in this video because you will use it throughout this unit and in class. In the next video, you're going to learn about the important vocabulary for Unit 7. See you next time.